Welcome to Nightmare for Giggles. My name is the Tales Keeper, and tonight we have a spine-chilling story that will keep you on the edge of your seat. For the full experience, we recommend listening with headphones and closing your eyes as you lie in bed. Let the shadows of the night envelop you as we journey into the unknown. Are you ready to feel the terror? Remember, whatever you do, don't answer the door at 3 a.m. Ara had always been a night owl. Her job as a freelance graphic designer kept her glued to her computer screen well into the early hours of the morning. She enjoyed the quiet solitude of the night, the world outside her window silent and still. But one night, her peaceful routine was shattered. It was 3 a.m., and Sarah was engrossed in a particularly challenging project. Her apartment was dark except for the glow of her computer screen. The only sounds were the soft hum of her computer and the occasional creak of the building settling. Suddenly, a loud, insistent knock on her door broke the silence. She jumped, her heart pounding in her chest. Who could be knocking at her door at this hour? She glanced at the clock to confirm the time, 3 a.m. She remembered an old piece of advice her grandmother had once given her. Never answer a knock at the door at 3 a.m. It's bad luck. Sarah shook off the eerie feeling that crept over her. It was probably just a prank or a neighbor who had locked themselves out. She decided to ignore it and return to her work, but the knocking persisted, growing louder and more urgent. She stood up and walked to the door, her curiosity getting the better of her. She peered through the peephole, but there was no one there. The hallway was empty. She waited a few moments, her breath held, but the knocking had stopped. With a sigh of relief, she turned back to her desk. Just as she sat down, her phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. She opened it and read, "Don't open the door." A chill ran down her spine. She quickly texted back, "Who is this?" but received no reply. The knocking started again, more insistent than before. Her phone buzzed again with another message, "Do not answer the door, no matter what." Sarah's anxiety was mounting. She tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. She checked her door again, and still, there was no one there. This time, she noticed something strange. The hallway light, usually bright and fluorescent, was flickering ominously. She backed away from the door and grabbed her phone, dialing 911. The operator answered, and Sarah explained the situation. The operator assured her that they would send someone over to check on her. In the meantime, the operator advised her to stay away from the door and keep it locked. Minutes felt like hours as Sarah waited, her ears straining to hear any sound. The knocking had stopped, but the uneasy feeling remained. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Finally, she heard a faint knock, but this time it was different. It was softer, more deliberate. She approached the door cautiously and asked, "Who is it?" "It's Officer Daniels, ma'am. We've received a call about a disturbance. Please open the door." Relieved, Sarah unlocked the door and opened it just a crack. The hallway was dark, the light now completely out. She couldn't see the officer's face, but she could make out the uniform. She opened the door wider and a figure stepped inside. "Thank you for coming," Sarah began, but her words caught in her throat. The figure in front of her was not an officer. It was a tall, shadowy figure with hollow eyes and a sinister smile. "Thank you for letting me in," it whispered. Sarah tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure advanced toward her and she stumbled back, tripping over her chair. She scrambled to her feet and ran to her bedroom, slamming the door shut and locking it. Her heart was pounding, her mind racing. What was that thing? How had it tricked her? She heard the figure moving through her apartment, its footsteps slow and deliberate. It knocked on her bedroom door, a soft, mocking knock. "Sarah," it called out in a sing-song voice. "Let me in, Sarah. I just want to talk." She backed away from the door, her phone in hand. She dialed 911 again, but the line was dead. She was completely cut off. The knocking grew louder, more insistent. The door rattled on its hinges. Sarah looked around for something to defend herself with, but found nothing substantial. She was trapped. Suddenly, everything went silent. The knocking stopped, and the apartment was eerily quiet. Sarah held her breath, listening intently. Maybe it had gone away. Just as she started to relax, her phone buzzed with another message. "I'm inside." Panic surged through her. She needed to get out. She moved to the window and opened it, looking down at the street below. It was a long drop, but she didn't have a choice. She climbed onto the windowsill, ready to jump, when she felt a cold hand grab her ankle. She screamed and kicked, trying to free herself, but the grip was too strong. The shadowy figure pulled her back into the room, its hollow eyes fixed on hers. "You're not going anywhere," it hissed. "You invited me in." With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah broke free and lunged for the door. She unlocked it and ran down the hallway, her mind focused on one thing: getting out of the apartment. She burst through the front door and ran down the stairs, not stopping until she was outside, gasping for breath. She looked back at her apartment building, half expecting to see the figure standing in the window, but there was nothing. Sarah didn't go back to her apartment that night. She stayed with a friend, too terrified to be alone. The next day, she returned with a locksmith and changed all the locks. She tried to put the experience behind her, telling herself it was just a bad dream. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every night at 3 a.m. she would wake up, her heart pounding, and listen for the knock that never came. She never received another message from the unknown number, but she kept her phone by her side just in case. Weeks later, Sarah was watching the news when a story caught her attention. Several people in the city had reported strange occurrences at 3 a.m., knocks on their doors, messages from unknown numbers, and sightings of a shadowy figure. No one could explain it, and the police were baffled. Sarah's blood ran cold. She knew she wasn't alone. Whatever had visited her that night was still out there, and it was only a matter of time before it found another victim. She moved to a new apartment on the other side of the city, hoping to escape whatever had haunted her. But every night she still woke up at 3 a.m., listening for the knock she knew she would never answer. And in the quiet of the night, she would always hear a soft, mocking voice in her mind, whispering, "Thank you for letting me in." Thank you for joining us for tonight's tale. We hope it left you with a shiver down your spine. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss another journey into the darkness. Sweet dreams. And remember, the night holds secrets best left undiscovered. Good night and beware the knock at 3 a.m.